Welcome everyone to our Pros Who Know webinar series for this beautiful afternoon. My name is Sandra Vidrio and I am the Business Development Officer for the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation, and I am glad that you are all able to join us remotely through this platform. Before getting started, I want to confirm that I give a quick tutorial on how to use the chat box feature. If you are accessing through a computer, you will see on the lower screen of your screen the chat icon, and you just click and submit your questions and comments. If you're using the tablet, you're gonna have to select the participant icon, and then you will see the chat feature appear. And if you're using a cell phone, simply select where it says more, and then the chat feature will appear. And as mentioned, please submit your name, your email, and your company organization name. That way we can keep connected during the presentation and after. And with that, I want to say a great thank you to our sponsors that have allowed us to continue providing these different webinars in a new virtual platform. And thank you to Bank of America, Bank of the West, Don & Sales, Chevron, Wells Fargo, Comcast, JP Morgan Chase, and Union Bank. Thank you for your support and for continuing, allowing us to continue to offer this great, valuable resource to our community. This is our agenda for today, and as mentioned, my name is Sandra Vidrio, Business Development Officer with the Fresno Hispanic Foundation, and I will be giving a quick information about the organization, and then we will be having Casey Curtin introducing our presenter for today. The Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation is an organization in the community that has been established to help and connect our small business community, our business professionals, in providing them tools and resources to become economically self-sufficient. And during these past 2 months, our team has continued to elevate our programs and services and continue being connected. And as you can see on your screen, we've been providing virtual technical assistance. And here's all of our team members, Dora, our CEO, Ruby, our office manager, myself, and Yeti, our Chief Operating Officer. And we are here to help and assist, whether it's through a one-on-one consultation over the phone, as well as continuing to provide these virtual workshops and sharing tools and resources to all of the business owners. And in addition to the virtual TA that we're offering, that we have available, we have our microloan program. And these programs are available for small business owners that are perhaps they're needing assistance with the application process, or they're trying to connect with other financial resources. We're here to help and get you connected. And then we have our webinars, our webinar features that we've been having every single week. We have new events that are coming up, and these are virtual relevant topics and related to providing, once again, the tools and the resources to continue growing your business. And if you have any questions or if you have recommendations for future topics that you would like to see, please send us an email at incubator@fresnodbh.org. You can also call our office at 222-8705, and one of our team members will be able to assist you. And also, to keep up to date with all of our current events, please follow us on our social media accounts at Fresno AHF. And with that, I would like to introduce you to our speaker, Casey, who will be sharing with us, kicking off the presentation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, good. So I am Casey Curtin, and I own Sandler Training here in Fresno. And I want to, and Sandra, I don't know if you made a point of this, but at the very bottom, you guys, of your screen, there's the reaction button. So if you click on that, there's like a thumbs up and a little clap. But I want you guys to use that, because for all of you who do not have your cameras on, and I know everyone's muted, at least you can communicate with me. So instead of having to take your screen off, you know, you're at least able to communicate that way. So, okay, I am, oh good, thank you. Okay, is that Jackie? Who did I see there? Okay, yes, thank you. So, how many of you, give me a thumbs up, are in any sort of sales capacity? Okay, okay. Okay, good. Good. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick bio on myself. And I know we only have 1 hour, which we're 50 minutes left today. So we'll make sure that we keep you not any more than that. I know everyone has stuff to do today. So I appreciate you guys taking 1 hour to spend with me today. And again, Casey Curtin, I own Sandler Training here in Fresno. And does anybody know the little old town of Riverdale? Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of Riverdale. No, okay, okay. I'm getting some. Everyone's getting those reaction buttons. Okay, good. So I'm from Riverdale, a fourth generation family farmer. I moved to Fresno when I went to college. I have any Bulldogs on the call today? Anyone went to Fresno State? Awesome. Okay. So I went to Fresno State. I graduated with a BA degree in mass communication and journalism. And I spent the last 15 years in a sales capacity. So sales management and leadership. And 10 of those years, I spent with the Business Journal. Show me who knows of the Business Journal here in Fresno. Okay. Okay. So at the Business Journal, 8 of the 10 years that I was there, we were a client of Sandler Training. And what it did for the company was hands down astronomical. So what we were able to do is not only increase revenue and sales between 12 to 22% year over year, we also eliminated turnover by implementing the hiring process, and really just making sure that the company culture was intact, and it was nothing but positive stuff for the company. And 10 years at one company, it was family owned, fourth generation there too, going into fifth generation. I was at my peak. And so I helped the company grow. And I said, instead of just helping one business here in the Valley, I wanted to help several businesses here in the Valley. So that's why I ended up owning Sandler Training. So with that said, I want to ask you guys a few questions. Well, mainly, a lot of you guys are familiar with the Business Journal. Let me just give you this little tidbit real quick. So at the Business Journal, we would constantly, we had advertisers, and we weren't always able to get everybody in front of the masses, right? We weren't able to get in front of, millions of people. We were a very, very niche market. So we were able to get you, in front of people that we would say counted. And we would occasionally have advertisers that would say, gosh, Casey, I know you're getting us in front of the right people, but why am I not seeing, these calls turn into sales? Why am I not seeing that sort of return on investment? And my answer to that was, look, I can get your phone to ring, but I have no responsibility for what you're going to do moving forward. I can't. So if your phone rang, I can't help you, actually sell it from start to finish. And so I knew that there was a lack of a process when it came to sales and in the Valley. And for example, if you were to, in the sales capacity, if you were to have 100 conversations and you were to close 10 of those 100 conversations, that would be, 10% pretty good. Okay. Now, if we wanted to increase our number of sales, the logical thing for us to do as a business owner would say, okay, instead of having 100 conversations, I want to double my sales. Let's have 200 conversations. Well, there's a lot of companies, you guys, that can get you in front of more people, right? There's a lot of companies that can get you in front of, the masses and get you in front of potential clients. And what we do at Sandler Training is it's not about getting you in front of more people to sell more. It's about making sure that the people you're getting in front of are the right people, they're qualified prospects, and that you're having the right conversations. So I don't want you to go out and tell you to get in front of 200 people to increase your sales from 10 to 20%. What I want you to do is make sure you have those 100 people, that they're the qualified right person that is your target demographic, and the right potential prospect for you, and have the right conversations. Does that make sense? Right? Not spinning your wheels, but making sure that we're actually implementing things that make sense. Thank you. I love that you guys are using those thumbs up. Okay. So I know that everyone's at home or they're at an office of some sort. So I want you guys to write 3 things down. So for those of you, especially who have a direct relation to sales, or if you're a business owner, I want you to think about the people that are selling your product or getting you in front of those people. I want you to write down, if I could do more or be more effective, what would that be? Give me 3 things. So for instance, it could possibly be if I could get in front of more potential clients. It could be if I was able to close more of the people that I was able to get in front of. A lot of times I get time management. If I had more time in my day, you know, so what would that look like? I want you guys to write down 3 different things. So again, the question is, my salespeople, so if you manage salespeople or if you own a company, you have salespeople, my salespeople, or I, so if you're in directly relationship to the volume of revenue within your company, write down 3 things that you could do to be more effective. Okay, I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to write something down. I'm looking at the chat box over here. Larry, okay, I see you're in sales and education. Good. So what I'm going to do in a minute, once we go through this, I'd like to open it up and call on a few of you and have some of these conversations. But as we're going through this, you guys, and I'm asking questions, feel free to use that chat box, like Sandra said, and write those down. When I get too many chats, it's hard for me to scroll through, but absolutely use that. So once you guys have 3 things down, right next to that, to each one, I want you to write down next to it, round numbers, what do you think that is costing you? So for example, if I could close more of the people I'm getting in front of, what would that number look like? Round numbers. I don't expect you guys to have calculators, but round numbers, what does that look like? And then next to that number, you guys, with the 3 things, I want you to write down from 0 to 10, what is your level of commitment to fixing these issues? So if you wrote down closing more business, what is your number for fixing it? So if you're writing 0, meaning it's not that important, and if that's the case, you probably shouldn't have wrote it down. 10 meaning it's a big deal. I really need to fix it. That's my level of commitment to fixing these issues. I want you guys to think about another thing too while you're writing this down. So there's 2 types of problems that we run into when it comes to sales. So we run into a technical problem versus a conceptual problem. So a technical problem is when you're sitting in front of a potential prospect and they give you a problem and you have no idea what to say or do. Okay, that's technical, right? A conceptual problem is when you know what to do, you know how you're supposed to react to it, and you just don't do it. Okay, so there's 2 different types of problems, and that's a lot of times where sales training comes in. So let's go ahead and open it up, and I want somebody, anybody, just take yourself off mute. I want to, what is something that you wrote down on one of those 3 things that you could be more, you can do more, be more effective if, what is one of those things that you wrote down?
So Casey, before continuing, I think there's a feature where if you pull up the participant where you can allow the participants to unmute themselves. So I don't know if it's enabled or disabled. So just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, I think everybody should be able to unmute, right? Can everybody unmute, or can anyone unmute? Okay. Okay, good. So Juan, what about you? What's one thing that you wrote down that you could do more or be more effective if?
Hi, Casey. Hi, everyone. Well, I'm not really much into sales, but I personally think that identifying an effective target audience, especially right now, I think
Okay.
clear understanding of the audience that you really want to get to, it's an essential part of the plan for me.
Okay, that makes sense. Did anybody else have that? Anybody else? If you do a thumbs up.
Well, I had outreach and marketing and education because just like Juan said, it's like, you know, a lot of people should be doing the right thing, but not necessarily educated enough to go along and follow up with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so who's speaking right now? I
Larry.
don't see.
Larry.
Say that again.
Larry, tell us.
Oh, Larry, okay. So kind of along those same lines, is that right? Tell me a little more about that and why you think that is.
Well, I mean, just like the economy and everything, if people knew that there was an exact exit plan or exit strategy to, I mean, just like businesses right now, I mean, obviously, you know, I just hired someone from an agricultural organization into my business because like he can't farm over the internet. I mean, but I can, you know, within my business, I could pivot and use technology. And in fact, the Fresno Hispanic Foundation just had a webinar, a workshop that enabled you to, you know, do business through the technology that we have, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever's out there to market ourselves. So in that aspect, it's like, well, it's just education, getting out there and marketing ourselves to say, hey, this is available for you, you know, just in case. I mean, who's to say that the coronavirus is going to be gone, but then there's going to be another virus coming right after that, or this is going to continue. Let's have exit strategies and plans, but we don't know that unless we're able to educate the masses, but properly. You mean you could be educated the wrong way or the right way?
Yeah, absolutely. And being educated the wrong way will definitely develop habits, and bad habits at that. And
exactly.
You guys think about it, you know, for instance, 36 years, you know, took me to develop all the habits I have. And so being able to undevelop these habits that didn't make you successful or bad habits, it takes a long time to restructure those things. So thank you, Larry. I appreciate you sharing that. Did anybody else have anything different, anything else that they want to share? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, it's learning how to manage my assistants virtually so I can delegate tasks that I don't need to be doing so that it can free me to do the things that actually generate revenue. So before the coronavirus, I could do that easily because we were all in my office and I could delegate tasks. So now in the virtual world, that's where I'm having, you know, I don't want to have to be calling them consistently, but I'm sure that there's a software or a database that I could be using that can simplify that.
Sure, thank you. Are you worried is that if you do delegate it, if you're not sure if it's going to get done, or you just don't have the resources to be able to delegate because you are virtual, or what do you think it is? The latter, or?
Well, I can delegate virtually, but having that communication, like, you know, back then I could just walk into their cubicle and say, hey, was this completed? Or, hey, can I have so-and-so's file? Now it's kind of like, you know, there's a lag between, and I don't want to send them through the communication system that I've created and then still send them a text message or a call, because that defeats the purpose of delegation. Right? And so it's
yeah.
Do
you feel like you're kind of hounding them if you give them a craft or something to do, and then you expect it to get done at a certain time and it's not done? So you're like, gosh, I feel like I'm a pest or their parent trying to get a hold on to see if it's done.
well, in my delegation system, I'm able to delegate and put dates that I want them to be done with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's times where like I need it faster, and I should have said it, hey, can you have this done by so and such time on this date? But instead, my delegation system only has it, and I have once a week meetings with my staff. So it's kind of like, you know, and then I end up doing it myself and just checking it off the delegation list that I've created, just because I'm impatient and I need it now.
So did you have these issues prior to COVID and working remotely? Did everybody get things done exactly when they should have, or they did?
Well, just because it was easier for me to just kind of step in and say, hey, you know, I need such and such clients information. Can you have that ready for me in 10 minutes, right? Now it's kind of like I've already delegated the task to them, and I want them to take initiative and completing things on a timely manner. And I don't want them to think I'm now micromanaging, because I've never been that kind of, you know, yeah.
So let me ask you this, Maria, if you've had something done, for instance, say you're in the office, right? And you said, I need this done within the next 10 minutes or so. Is there any reason why you couldn't delegate it the same way and ask for a time frame of when it's done and it be done at that time?
Well, I think the database that I'm using, or the system that I'm using, it allows me to put the date, but not the time. Now in the notes section, I guess I could probably delegate it. I can have on the notes there, hey, on this day, can you have it done by 2 p.m. or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely highly recommend that. And especially because if you're now having to take on those tasks, which is preventing you from doing things that would build revenue. I mean, what type of round numbers? I mean, what did you put next to that? What do you feel like you're missing out on right now as far as revenue? And you guys, of course, I'm sure I don't have to repeat this, but when we talk about things like that in a selling situation, I mean, everything stays here.
Okay, so
Are you comfortable sharing that?
I wasn't sure what you meant in regards to round numbers. Was that the amount of gross that I'm bringing in from the fact that I'm not doing that? Is that
Yes.
net? I'm an extremely analytical, so I wasn't sure where. So I just kind of put the number system based off of what I should be doing: a 10, a 9 that would
Okay.
generate, you know, somewhat, and then an 8. So I had, yeah.
So what, like round numbers, meaning revenue wise? So like, what do you think is the net revenue amount that you are not being able to get in right now at the time of having to do everything yourself and not being able to use your time wisely, which is to generate more revenue?
I would say per client, at least, I don't know, 12 to 1,500 from,
Okay.
and it's, I mean, I have grown, I do have a Salesforce system that I can use. I'm still up to 100% based off my last year's production. So it's not like I'm doing
That's
bad,
great.
right? But then again, it's not like at the pace that I was doing before the coronavirus.
Okay. And I feel like, you know, every industry is going to be doing stuff differently right now. We're all having to figure out what is the new norm. And I don't think we really know what that is yet. But I will say I'm firmly believe that this type of virtual setting is going to be a new norm for quite some time. And even moving forward, when we are able to meet face to face, there could be times where they say, hey, you know, just send me a link. Let's get on a Zoom real quick. And I don't have to drive, you know, maybe to Visalia or from, you know, to Tulare or whatever town, you know, you're going to. It could absolutely be the new norm. So being able to iron out the effectiveness of how you're managing your staff is extremely key. But it all goes to expectations, right? So what we don't want to have happen is, you know, revenue going down based on things like that could be delegating. And that's why when I told you guys at the beginning, when I talk about a technical problem versus a conceptual problem, right? You know, conceptually what needs to be done and what you're supposed to do and what they need to do, right? And sometimes we just don't communicate that effectively, whether it's in a more of a management situation. But if it's in a management side and then it's affecting you in an actual selling side, I mean, that we definitely don't want to lose revenue on that. For the sake of time, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I'm going to do right now is give you an idea of anyone here in any sort of, I mean, if you guys are in business, whether you're in a direct selling situation, you're in some sort of sales capacity, because we are all buyers. So we buy from people that sell to us, and anyone in business is in some sort of sales, whether you're selling yourself, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and let's get my whiteboard up. Okay, can you guys all see my screen okay? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So, perfect, thank you very much. Okay, quickly, I'm going to go over what a typical selling system is, you guys. So, anytime you're selling something, and you know, your whole job, even if you're trying to build new clients, the first thing that you are taught to do is to set an appointment. And once you set that appointment, you're supposed to ask questions, right? We ask open-ended questions. And then that's also some sort of like, you know, we're asking for a needs analysis, right? And the reason why we do that is we want to figure out, we're asking a bunch of questions. We want to make sure, do I have some sort of solution for what your needs are? So that's the first thing that we do as a salesperson. Once we get all of those questions asked and we figure out, okay, now I know what my prospect needs. The second thing I'm going to do is put together a proposal. Okay, and your proposal could be some sort of presentation depending on your industry, but for the most part, we're going to ask open-ended questions. We put together a proposal, and then for those of you guys that are in sales, once you put together a proposal, our idea is to ask for the business, right? We're supposed to close. So I'm going to go ahead and say close for the business, because what we've done in any selling situation is I've done a needs analysis. I ask open-ended questions. The prospect in front of me says, Casey, that looks great. Can you put together a proposal? That's what I do. I put together a proposal and I present a solution, and then I close for the business. Well, 9 times out of 10, you guys, that's not always going to close right then and there, because what happens after that is I'm attempting to close for the business, and then they give me some sort of objection. And my job is to handle all of those objections. So they could say something like, oh, well, let me put handle objections here so you guys have all this. Handle objections. So it could be, let me run this by my wife, let me get her approval on it. Let me run this by the board and see if that makes sense. I need to get final write-off from so-and-so. So they're going to give us some of these things. Or they could say, ooh, Casey, I don't know, that price was a little high. I'm not quite sure that's going to make sense for us right now. So my job as a salesperson is to say, okay, well, if my price is too high, what do you need it at? You know, I'm trying to I can't handle all these objections. Once I handle all these objections, I go back and I try to attempt to reclose. And that's kind of a cycle that we go through with sales. It's asking the right questions, making sure we do a really good needs analysis, put together a proposal. They give us some sort of objections, we handle them, and then we go back and forth. And sometimes it ends with, Casey, that looks great. Call me back on Wednesday. And follow up with me then. Typically, when I call back on Wednesday, what are the chances are that they're waiting right there by the phone for me to call with an answer? Not often. So it's not. I end up getting in some sort of what we call voicemail jail, where I'm calling, I'm trying to follow up, and I'm not getting any sort of answer. What do you think is wrong with a system like this as far as the seller? Who do you think is in control of this situation? Do you think the buyer is in control, or do you think the seller is in control?
The buyer.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the buyer. And it's not saying that we don't have any sort of control. We thinking we're a valued salesperson. I'm going to go in and I'm going to offer a solution to what your needs are. But then we end up going through this roundabout way, and we don't get really to the root of all this, and we're starting to handle objections. So absolutely, it's the fundamental problem here is that the person that is in control is the person on the other side of it, right? There's no mutual balance there. And so I want to take you through now of what the actual buyer system is. So for those of, I mean, everyone's a buyer. You guys, we've all bought something. We buy furniture, bought cars, whatever. You guys all bought, half of you are business owners. You bought a business, started a business. So when you are an actual buyer, right, what is the first thing that you do? I'm going to go ahead and start you guys off. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to express interest, right? So if I'm going, if someone calls me on the phone and does a cold call, and I'm possibly, it could be a provider, insurance provider or something, I'm going to express some sort of interest if I'm going to get them in front of me as far as an appointment. So I'm going to express interest. Now, you guys, when I express interest, it doesn't always mean that I'm extremely positive about the interest. It could mean that I'm misleading you about the interest. And let me give you an example. When we go on a car lot, okay, and we have the salesperson comes up to us, you know, as soon as we get out of our car, they come up to us and they say, "Can I help you find anything?" What's the first thing that we say? "I'm just looking." Right? I'm just looking, right? We're not there to buy a car. No way. I just happened to stroll on this car lot. So we're misleading about our interest. And why do you think that we as a buyer mislead about our interest?
Because we don't want to feel like we're pressured into making a decision at that moment.
Absolutely. Who was that said that?
Larry.
Hi, Larry, you are absolutely right, buddy. Absolutely. So we don't want to feel pressured. We don't want to feel like we're being sold something, right? I want to go on and leisurely walk about my way on that car lot and figure out what I want and my time. The first thing I don't want to do is say, well, this is my budget. This is exactly what I have, because 9 times out of 10, we feel that they're going to go and probably show us something that is well over the budget that we gave them, or they're going to use the whole budget that we gave them, which isn't what we wanted. So a lot of times that stuff's going to happen. So we're going to express interest, and then sometimes we're going to, what I would say the second thing as a buyer is we're going to act motivated. So let's take the car lot situation out of the way. Let's pretend we're in front of a potential prospect as a seller, and the buyer says, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, that sounds good." And they start asking us a bunch of questions, right? So what we do as a salesperson is we give them all of our information. And that's when we ask for, you know, we're answering all of these questions based on what their needs are. And when we put together a proposal, we're giving away all of the information, which is really unpaid consulting. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing a lot of unpaid consulting, and all they're doing is I would say steal, I mean, it's just a form. They steal all of our information. And it could be, going back to my insurance example, is I could just want all of your information because I'm looking to go over here and make sure that my current provider is really giving me the rate that I should have it at, right? I'm going over there and I'm price shopping. So I'm misleading you about my interest. I'm acting motivated. I'm stealing all your information, and not really to steal it, but because I want to make sure that I'm getting the best deal. So if you take the situation of going on, you know, the car lot, and I say, okay, well, what's this car? And they say, oh, I can give it to you for 25,000. Well, I'm going to go online, or I'm going to go somewhere else. And I'm going to say, well, they offered me 25. What can you do for it? Right? That's what I mean about stealing information.
That's what happened to me in my industry. I met with a client and their family, and they had a farmer's agent. And I said, well, educate them on this. And then she went back to her farmer's agent with her best friend. And they said, well, can you do this for us? Yeah, I can. Well, why didn't she tell them that before? But, you know, hey, like, it is what it is. And she took that information, took it to her person, and that person was able to provide it for her.
Absolutely. So what she did is she expressed interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
She expressed interest, then she acted motivated, and then she took all of your information, and then she went and did something else with it, right? So what we do after we steal all of your information is we avoid commitment.
Right. Plus, I found them $800 a month in extra money that from her saving from her taxes. I was like, what?
Let me ask. Yeah, that's Larry, right? Is that who's
Yes.
talking?
Yes.
Okay, so Larry, let me ask you this: when you gave her that proposal and she ended up taking it, going back to her current provider, and what did she tell you? Did she say, Larry, thank you for the information, I'm going to go back and make sure that who I'm using can give me this better price, and I'm not going to use you?
Well, the thing was, is like I was talking to the husband. The husband was very interested in going with me, but his wife was there in the conversation too at the table, and I showed him how to save on their, dispensable taxes and got them $800 a month. And because the insurance had gone up with the person she was with, and basically they had to like eliminate their kids from being covered. So I said, hey, that's not cool. Let's just find you a way to do this. And then the person went back and says, hey, can you do this with the taxes? And oh yeah, that they can do. Well, it's like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's about helping the families. It doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I didn't make the sale, but hey, I did the right thing based on what was in front of me, and you move on. You move on because obviously I still have a great relationship with the husband, and we've done other things that involve helping veterans. So hey, you lose some battles, but then you win the war.
Yeah, absolutely. And you stayed honest with it. And, of course, as a buyer, which is what they were doing, they just kind of put us through the typical, what we say, buyer seller dance. So the last thing in the buyer system is they typically hide. So what we would love for them to do, Larry, in that situation is to say, gosh, okay, honestly, I'm not moving away from my current provider. Yes, my husband likes you, but I'm not moving away from my current provider. I'm really trying to price shop you right now so I can get a better rate.
And the thing was, I was helping them more than their friend was. It's like, hey, but like I said, it is what it is.
Yep, and I'm happy you said that, because I'm not happy that happened to you by any means, but happy you said that, because when we go into, I'm going to show you a different process, the Sandler process, and ways that we can actually avoid stuff like that, because there was an opportunity there where you're being the honest person, you're giving a better rate, you're giving better coverage and everything else, but that person was never willing and able to make the move. Right? And don't we want to find that out way early on, prior to spending time, spinning our wheels, putting together this proposal for them to just take the information and price shopping, knowing that she was genuinely never going to move from her current provider, right?
Right. Yeah, because like you said, it's you want to close more business, but business is helping people. And the thing is, just like right now, I'm at collectively at $10,000 for the month in commission. And that's half of the month is over with. Only half of the month is like my industry. Depending on the closing rate, it could be $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month. It depends on the individual and how much we close.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what sales is, right? And that's why a lot of us get into sales, and because we're able to make commissions and not have something capped out. But it's so up and down, because we never know what type of prospects we're going to be in front of, or what cards we're going to be dealt, right? So we can have a really good month, we can have a really bad month. We have peaks and valleys. That's exactly how sales works. So let me ask you this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second so I can see the rest of you. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and Larry, this will, because your industry, there's a lot of times where they're either going to go with you or they're going to go with somebody else. So you're going to lose business to a possible competitor. So let's pretend that I am with your current competitor right now, okay? And I say, Larry, I'm with your competitor XYZ, but I'm open to seeing what you have to offer. Give me 3 reasons why I should buy from you. And I want you guys to write down 3 things. So it's, I am currently with your competitor, we'll just say competitor XYZ company, but I'm interested in hearing what you have. Give me 3 reasons why I should buy from you. And what are what's one thing that you guys would say? Like, give me a couple things. If you want to throw it in the chat, or just tell me, what do you guys think? You know, what are 3 reasons why you tell people that they should go with you?
A lot of times it's like we give free educational analysis on what they're doing at that moment. You know, it goes a free upgrade per se.
So you'll do like a free analysis on who they're currently using?
Well, we don't charge on any of our services from the beginning, or a free upgrade, or whatever it is. It's just, hey, we sit down with the potential client, see what their needs analysis is, because legally we have to do that in our industry, because we want to like offer something somebody can't afford, and then say, well, why did you offer that for them and they can't even afford it? And it's like, well, I have this needs analysis showing that, you know, at that time, based on these numbers, it was something within the comparable rate that they could afford.
Yeah, and so anytime you guys are giving, so that would be a value added, right? You're adding value to people, saying, hey, I can offer you this to see what situation you're in, and that's value added for anybody. Do your competitors do stuff like that as well?
I don't know if they offer like free services like that. It just depends. I mean, there's some great reputable companies out there. It's just got to see what you can do, because sometimes either I can, for the same price, I could give them double the coverage, or for the same coverage, be able to have it less expensive. It just depends, because like a lot of companies, they're considered captive agencies, where they can only sell products and services that they have on their shelves. We're a broker dealer, so we broker dealer with over 200 different companies. So it's like, well, we're not trying to push what we have on our shelves. Just like if you have your wireless phone service is AT&T, they're not going to tell you, hey, Verizon has a better package for you, go over there, because they want to just push whatever they have. But that's not us. We're just a broker dealer, and we contracted with all these 200 different companies.
So what are some other reasons why you feel like people should use your services?
I don't know, because the thing is, a lot of times they just they're offering a lot of the old education on what they have as far as our industry, rather, because it's always constantly changing, constantly upgrading. So I think a lot of times it's like people set it and forget it, but then they don't understand that there's something new, bigger and better and less expensive that's out there. So it's a constant communication. And like I said, a lot of times you run into the fact that, I already got something in place. Well, shoot, maybe that doesn't make sense. It might make as much sense as an ejector seat in the helicopter. Doesn't make much sense.
I completely agree. So typically when I'll ask people this question, they'll tell me things like, because of the longevity our company has in the marketplace, or because we provide a better service, that we're always on time, we're never late, our rate is better than our competitors. So a lot of reasons like that. Now the problem with answering that question with those answers is because let's pretend you just got fired from where you're working and you just went to work for your competitor. What's your credibility? Right, 0 to 10, your credibility is going to be fairly low. Is that right?
Yeah, because they always have that. Because when I used to work for Save-Mart supermarkets, it was unfortunate that one of the managers got fired for something that she shouldn't have been doing, and then she goes to work at a preschool, and then she turns around and says, "Well, you know what? Save-Mart was one that great company to work for." Well, yeah, you're gonna say that because you got fired from them. Yeah, you're gonna put the other company down and say that this is the better choice you have.
Of course, and that's just what we do as salespeople. So I'm going to give you guys just a quick example of what the opposite of that would look like. So a lot of people sales is not for everybody. It's uncomfortable for a lot of people, and salespeople get a bad rap. We're looked at almost like. That's why I use the car salesman analogy. Not that car salesmen are bad at all. I think they're awesome salespeople. They just get a bad rap because as soon as you go out on the car lot, someone comes up to you and says, "Can I help you find something?" Now, if they would have came up to me on the car lot and said, "Sandra, I'm not I'm not here to sell you anything. I don't even know what you're looking for. I'm just here to be the expert on all these cars on this lot. So I'm going to be standing right over there. If for any reason you have any questions based on all these cars, because I know them like the back of my hand, you come up, you know where I'm at. Let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions. How would you feel, right? You'd feel a little better about saying, oh no, I'm just looking. Yeah, right?
Like the idea of doing like a sale versus the offer, right?
Yes, absolutely. So what we do, the reason why, I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen here real quick. So the reason why over here, you guys, we see, let me go back to my text. So in the buyer system, when we say express interest or pretty much misleading about interest, we mislead because we put a wall up, right? We went over that. We said we don't want to be sold. So with the Sandler system, you guys correct me, it doesn't have auto correction on here. So if I misspell something, just ignore it. So the Sandler system, what we're going to do is we're going to be what we would say disarmingly honest. Now, when I'm disarmingly honest, it sounds something just like that, where if somebody came to me and said, you know, Casey, I'm with your competitor XYZ, what are 3 reasons why I should go with you? And instead of me answering like a typical salesperson would, like, oh, because our prices are the best here in the Valley. We've been around for 4 generations. We're not going anywhere. All of these reasons, if I turned it around, because that's still being, if I'm going and presenting in that way and saying, because we're really good at this and we've been around for a long time, I'm presenting my products and services in a positive light. And yet I don't even know if it makes sense for us to do business. But what I'm doing is I'm still keeping your wall up as a buyer, and you still have control in that situation. So what I would do in a Sandler system is say, you know what, I'm happy that you're covered right now with our competitor, and I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to want to meet with me. But I don't know if you should go with me. I have no idea about you or your company. I don't know if it makes sense for us. So do you mind if we take 20 minutes? I ask you some questions about what you're currently doing, what's worked, what hasn't, and we can figure out whether it makes sense to talk further. And you say, okay, yeah, I'm open to that. Right? So where is my trust now? Do you feel like I'm selling you something, or do you feel like I brought your wall down? Not a trick question, guys.
Wall down.
Wall down. So what I'm doing is I'm putting your wall down because I'm not selling you something, because I don't even know if it makes sense for us to do business. Okay. And what if I even told you, hey, we may find out really early on in this conversation that you should stay with your current provider. Maybe I'm not the right solution for you. Are you open to even talking about that and figure that out? She goes, yeah, okay, I'm open to that. I could talk about that. What I've done now is I put down a wall. What I'm going to do next, you guys, in the Sandler system is, after I bring your wall down and I'm disarmingly honest, I'm going to have what we would say an upfront agreement. Now, this upfront agreement is really what I just told you is going to determine a timestamp. It's going to put what I'm looking to get out of this appointment, what you're hoping to get out of this appointment, and figure out 1 or 2 things are going to happen. We're either going to find out it makes sense to do business, or we're going to find out that we're just not the right fit and we're going to part ways, and that's it. So that's the upfront agreement. When you're going and you're meeting with the prospect, it's important that you do, you know, you're asking the right questions, you're with the right prospect. But if we had the agreement, like Larry, for your situation that you had mentioned earlier, if you went to the prospect and said, you know, I know that you're, you know, you and I, if you're talking about you had a good relationship with the husband, you and I have a good relationship. I know that your guys' current insurance is with a really good friend of your wife's. Would you be honest and let me know anytime in this conversation, and if you think that I have no chance at all of you guys even moving to us, would you tell me that? And he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. She's not going to go with anybody, or just getting a mutual agreement to say, look, I don't know if we should move, you know, if you should even move to us, but can we have this agreement? Can we say, if I'm able to save you 10% on what you're current paying right now, and I'm able to give you more coverage. Can we have an agreement that you are willing and able to move over to me? And he goes, okay, yeah, we can talk about that and have that conversation. So you're getting a mutual agreement up front. You're not telling him you can save him money. You're not telling him that you can give him more coverage. You're just saying, if I could do that, what would that look like?
Yeah, you're pre-framing the appointment.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm giving a little tidbit, not saying I can help you, but I'm saying, if I do this, what type of outcome am I looking at? Right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that there's some sort of actionable pain. And when I say actionable pain, and Larry, I'll go back to your situation. I don't know if there was actionable pain, because and I talk about pain indicators and reasons for doing business. Actionable pain would mean that they are actually willing to move their current service over to yours, right?
Yeah,
and we don't know if they were ever willing to do that, right?
Right, yeah, because he said, because I'm upset that I had to drop my children from being covered. In one of the policies they didn't move forward, but another one they did. So it's kind of like a win and then a loss. But hey, you know what? Because I was able to move his coverage, because it was through the VA. It was something that had to do with his pension plan. So that one he has a choice to make himself. The other one was kind of like through his wife's friend. So I couldn't touch that part of it.
Sorry, are you still there? I just lost my, okay, there you go. Okay. Sorry, my other headphones just went dead. So you got some of the business then, right?
Right, through her husband directly, because he's in control of that, because it's his pension plan through his through the government. But as far as anything else that went through her friend, it didn't go forward. But you know.
So that goes to my next part right here, Larry. So we need to make sure that they're able to invest, and they're willing and able to invest the time, right, that it takes. And then also, are they willing and able to make that decision, right? So what type of decision are they going to make with something like that? Because if somebody is not able to, for instance, you were saving them money, you were giving a better service, but they were not willing to make the decision to move from who they were using to you.
Right. They'd rather keep the friendship than to protect their kids. You know, it's kind of sad to think about it, but hey, that's the forefront of it. And but basically in the long run, I did help them out with everything. They were able to get that extra income coming in from their taxes being redone in a sense where they have more money for themselves, more expendable money, and they were able to put their kids back on coverage. So, hey, you know what? If I had to be the man of the family for them, then I had to step up to the plate and do it.
Yeah, and you know what? Think about the time that you spent doing all of that and putting together the time of you just going over there, having some sort of rapport with them, putting together their proposal, knowing that you're helping them out and not getting all the business. But you did what we would call a traditional sales model over here. So you went over, you did your needs analysis, you put together a proposal, you went to close for the business, you handled the objections, you attempted to reclose. Now, when you attempted to reclose, you got some of the business. You didn't get all of it, but you got some of it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the Sandler system, see this fulfillment down here at step number 6? That's the actual presentation phase. So look at over here when we talk about the, I can just move this up over here. Okay. So if you look at the the selling system, the proposal and the presentation is in step 2. With the Sandler system, it's way down here in step 6. So I first disarming you. I get an upfront mutual agreement between you and the prospect. I figure out what your needs are, which is the actionable pain. I figure out whether you can invest the time and money that it takes to move your product or service. I figure out whether you can make that decision to move from your current provider to me. And then once I have all of those checked off, now I get to give you my proposal. So
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
right? If
I
you
like
would have done all of this backwards, you would have kind of maybe checked off a few of those boxes, not put together all the time, or got a mutual agreement to say, look, I'm not going to waste any more of my time putting together something for you when I know you're never going to move to my product.
Yeah, this is when I was newer, but hey, the growing pains teach you too, you know. But yeah, this is really good. This is really good.
Well, thank you. I know that was a little quick tidbit, but you guys, when I talk about Sandler training, and although we master it as sales training, Sandler is a communication model. It's just a better way to effectively have the right conversations with the right people. And that's why I feel like it's so impactful to show you what a typical buyer-seller situation is and how Sandler is different, because I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to match needs to a solution, but I also want to get all of my questions answered before I ever even present to you. So here's a takeaway for you guys, and it's one of our Sandler rules. It's the best presentation you will ever give is one that the prospect will never see. The best presentation you will ever give is one that the prospect never sees. Now, what I mean by that is if you look at the Sandler selling system, I'm presenting, yet I already have a mutual agreement that you are going to buy my product or service if I'm able to get it at the rate that you want, at the cost that we agree upon, and you're going to give me a yes or a no. And I didn't even present it yet. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're right at 2 o'clock, you guys. I hope you got something out of that. And I'm going to ask you two things here. Is one, if you could just throw something in that comment box as far as any sort of takeaway, maybe just something that you got from this. Or if you just, completely wanted to sit on here and hear me talk for the last hour. Larry, thank you so much for helping me
Casey,
out.
I was gonna say, are you available to like possibly do some training for maybe some of our agents and something that could benefit yourself and obviously my organization, because I'm always having an open door because we have our own training and stuff like that. But I think a different kind of perspective, just like I said with the Sandler training, I think it could be viable in our industry.
Yeah, you guys, so Sandler training is, we believe in ongoing reinforcement training, right? So we'll do, I'll do little quick seminars and stuff like this. And it's intended for you to get a little takeaway. I can't change your whole behaviors within 60 minutes. But it's ongoing reinforcement training. All of my clients, I train throughout the week. And the second thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is reach out to me if it makes sense for us to talk further. If it does, great. And if it's a no, that's completely fine with me. I'm happy that you guys got on for this 60 minutes. So I'm going to put my contact information in here. I'll give you guys my email on how to get a hold of me, and please feel free to send me an email and we can set up a time to talk. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Casey, for this informative presentation. Like you mentioned, it was it's simple, but at the same time, as you were speaking, a lot of us, I'm sure, can relate. We're like, whoa, I'm making that mistake, or maybe I should start implementing ways differently. And so this is exactly what we wanted to do, the takeaways and sharing best practices as to what something's working for some individuals. And with that, I want to go ahead and share our screen again, just to close some remarks on behalf of the foundation. So as it's loading, perfect. So here we go. So our next webinar, we're going to be having actually tomorrow at 1 p.m. We're going to be having our third Friday workshop with our partners at Berkeley Law and also Fresno State. So the registration information, please visit our website at fresnoahf.org/events. Once again, all of these virtual webinars are being offered at no cost. And we will also be having a webinar on Monday, the 18th of May. It's a Spanish webinar talking about employment and also employers, workers' compensation, what has changed within COVID-19, and also providing an update as to the executive order that Governor Newsom passed. And we are excited to announce that we are bringing our breakfast meetings back in a virtual setting. And so we're honored to have Dr. Paul Parnell, who's Chancellor of State Center Community College District, join us as our keynote speaker. And also we'll be having a virtual networking opportunity after the presentation. So please, we encourage you to please join us for these wonderful webinars if you're available, and check out our website to RSVP. And I want to make one quick announcement on the Womanpreneur. This week we had the launch of the program. The first class was a success, and we are offering this program at no cost. Once again, thank you to our wonderful sponsors. And if you think you want to, if you're needing to increase or enhance your marketing skills and you are wanting to participate now, there's still time. We're allowing to extend the registration period. So please send us an email. That way we can connect with you and send over the information about these marketing classes. And with that, this is our contact information. Our team is available to help you with any questions that you may have, any webinars that you would like to see in the near future, or if you're needing assistance with any resources, please let us know and follow us on our social media platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Casey.